Welcome to another edition of Voice of the Diaspora. In studio today with me is former Kaieteur News columnist Mr. Freddie Kissoon. Mr. Freddie Kissoon will be talking about the recent Kaieteur News firestorm in which he was allegedly sacked by owner Mr. Glen Lall for selling his pen, according to Mr. Glen Lall, selling his pen to the government of Guyana. Is press freedom under attack? Or as Mr. Kissoon changed his method in the years of his writing and activism? He joins me now. Freddie Kissoon, welcome to Voice of the Diaspora.
Well, I know you're, thanks, Norman. I know you're 4 hours ahead of us. It's 7 in Guyana and it's 11 in London. I haven't seen you a long time. You haven't aged. I hope I can see you in Guyana. We can talk. Norman, I wrote in my columns that I have a lot of respect for you. And I have a lot of respect for people who belong to organizations but do not subscribe to groupthink. And I have many people have said to me, but Norman Bong is a PNC and he criticized the government. And I've always said to them, he is a decent man. We may not share the same perspective, the same ideology, but at the end of the day, a decent man becomes a savior. And there are decent people who support the PNC and who want the PNC government. And there are decent people who believe the PPP is doing good. And at the end of the day, those decent people make and keep principles going, because when the PPP or the PNC do something, they will say, no, man, that is wrong. And I have seen such people who do not subscribe to groupthink. I have been around such people my entire life. And people would say to me, when I was critical of the PPP, man, you having chats and you talk about this minister, that minister. And I've always said that there are decent people that in the government of the PPP during Mr. Jagdeo time that I know. I've always said to people, although I campaigned for the AFC, I know there were decent people in the PNC, and I wrote about those people. So when people tell me about Norman Brown, and nobody has been hostile, I must say people would say to me, Norman Brown criticizing the government, Freddie, I would always say to them, I respect you because you're a decent PNC person. But so far, I don't know from your end, people who have said to me, but the man is a PNC, they've never said it with any hostility. I can tell you that. Nobody's ever said, Freddie, don't get a man an interview. Why you talking to the man? Why you writing about them? No. In all fairness, no one has ever said that to me. And I believe the reason why they have never said that to me is because they would hear the vociferous side of my voice. I respect decent people. You have your support for the PNC. That should not make you and I disagree, not talk, not socialize. No, I've never stood for that in my life, and I will never stand for it.
And I want to thank you for that. I think I have publicly stated that I consider you a friend. A lot of people would say, why would you do that? He's sold out now, he's changed, he's whatever. I said, that is Freddie Kissoon's politics. But whatever we do on programs like these, we must know that it is for the betterment of Guyana. I want to echo Leonard Gildari. When we come here on these programs, like when you are on the Gildari Freddie program, whatever is being done is to benefit the people of Guyana, is to give the people the facts and to expose them to truth with the view of them enjoying a better Guyana. And so I am deeply appreciative that you would have mentioned me in your column several times. You didn't have to do that. So many people would call me and say, oh, I read about you, Freddie. Freddie was, he spoke nicely about you and so on. But I want to say this, Freddie, we have to go straight into the program. It's not going to be smooth sailing. You have the latitude to say what you want to say here, and to give your side of the story. Today, many people are saying, and Glen Lall has recently subscribed to that view, that you have become the government's mouthpiece and that you're using his newspaper as the government's mouthpiece. He further said that this is no longer the Freddie Kissoon who would call a spade, who would attack any government, who would criticize any government on principle grounds. This is no longer the Freddie Glen Lall said. He has said other things which we will talk about as we progress in the show. But I want you to tell the world what has really transpired, what caused the situation for you no longer to be a columnist at Kaieteur News. Tell the world how it all started, what happened.
We will start with that, but as the program goes on, I would say, and people's eyebrows may raise when I say this, I've been accused of taking money from the government, and I have said it on the Gilgari show. I don't mind once the money comes my way. I don't mind once I don't compromise my principles. But so far the money isn't coming my way. And now that I don't have a pen in the show news, maybe the money will stop if it ever came. But we'll deal with that kind of absurdity. We'll deal with my age and what I have in life, etc. But let's start with the disconnection, which I would think now is permanent, between me and the Kaieteur News. Norman, there is a text and there's a subtext to the story. I will start with the text and I will offer a preface to the text. I believe that in life there are certain inevitabilities that humans just cannot evade or avoid. Those are the inevitabilities of life. And that is, we come up into this world and we don't have the latitude, the jurisdiction, the resources to do what we want to do when we're 18, 28, 38. So we have to abide by certain by certain restrictions of life. The best example I can think of is the great philosophy of Sigmund Freud, who said humans live a permanent life of sublimation. The things they want, they can't have it in the real world. People are driven by the sex instinct, but you just can't go about having sex all the time. So you sublimate your sex drive. So humans sublimate uh, the things they want for some unpleasant situation. And the best one I can think of is dignity. We don't have, and we will never have in this world, the latitude of doing what we want for our own happiness and benefit. So we bear up with certain restrictions. And I call it contextual acceptance of some assault on your dignity. For example, a woman has 3 children, a single mother. Her boss make couple, remarks to her. And she say, for my 3 children, I will ignore him. A policeman is in control of a village. He assaults your dignity that every time he's out there, he says, you have something for the officer, and you just give him a small piece. You- he has the power to say you shouldn't sell in the market. Your stall is touching the road and he harasses you. No, there comes a time in your life where the woman who tolerated those indignities from her boss, she's free of him. So she could meet him on the road and say, you ever say those things to me again? I will slap you. She couldn't say that when she had her 3 children. When the policeman is gone and that vendor meets him 3, 4 years and she's no longer a vendor, but she has her own business, she could say to him, "You were a rogue policeman, and if I ever hear anything about you, I will have you arrested." So that is what is called the contextual acceptance of the inevitabilities of life. Now, I am 72 years of age. I have a daughter who's well taken care of, and I live quietly with my wife. I drive a very ordinary car that costs me $1.8 million. So, by the type of that car, you would know what type of. I don't live in a house that has, with my wife, that has a self-contained bedroom. No, when we get up, we go to the washroom down the corridor. I live a very quiet life. I have no um, extravagant things. I have very few resources. I don't have substantial money in bank. This is a guy at 72 years of age who could have had it all when I graduated with 6 awards, including the President Medal, and Forbes Burnham sent to call me the president. I have opposed all kinds of presidents, all kinds, from Burnham up to Granger. And I've lived the same life, and I've never asked them for anything. Now I've reached 72 years of age. Would I accept the indignity of seeing a paper that I built, helped build, that I wrote for 28 years for, and made that paper into something? But most of all, countless numbers look forward to that column. And the Sunday, when that have the heaviest circulation, there's no column. And nobody called me. The only foundation member of Kaieteur that is still there, and somebody who Guyana would think have some worth. So I didn't see this column, and I said, somebody couldn't call me and say, "Look, we have a problem with the column. We call the lawyers, or could you send something, Freddie?" No, I didn't see any column. And I said, that is the final assault at my age that I would allow some to be treated like that. So I took the column which I will read, the offending, the part that I subsequently found out that Mr. Lall didn't like, and, 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 and threw it out. I took the column, and through initiatives of others, it was carried as a column in the Guyana Times and in the Guyana Chronicle. That was the Monday. I went on to the Gildari Freddie Kissoon show because I felt an obligation, an inflexible, vehement, and no nonsense obligation to tell people why they didn't see my column, a column that they saw for 28 years, and a column that I believe, without any chauvinism, that they expected. So I went to the Freddie Kissoon Gildari show, and I read the column, and I told the Guyanese people at home and abroad who were looking at that show why I did what I did. I felt at my age and my contribution to Kaieteur News, and given my importance to the paper, it wouldn't happen anywhere in the world that a lead columnist and an essential part of the paper would not see his presence or her presence there without any kind of courteous contact. No, man, I would never tolerate that when I was younger, and I wouldn't tolerate it now. So that was that. I went to the Guyana Times, to the Chronicle. They published it. I went to the Gildari Freddie Kissoon show, and I explained, and I read the part. I could read the part. I will read the part. My column consisted of 2 parts: a theoretical examination from the time of Plato in ancient Greece of the role of the state, bringing it up right up to the present, how the role of the state performs in any society. Then I took that theoretical formula and I applied it to Guyana to examine the state in Guyana and sociology in Guyana to find apartheid in Guyana. So that was it. I explained to the Guyanese people why I was so angry. My dignity was involved. Okay, before the Sunday column that was not published, before Saturday, before Friday, the Thursday, Mr. Lal called me and said to me, I'd like to see you urgently. This is what he said. I'm trying my best to paraphrase it. Man, Freddie, I'm getting a lot of complaints from people. You know, people saying that you column poor government, you're using the paper for poor government. People talk, you got to come in and talk. Now, that was the beginning, I think, of the end, because it was clear to me he was talking about, now, could you not write the way you're writing? I sense that. I don't think I have been a mouthpiece to the government. I will never be a mouthpiece to anyone. But I would say, quite frankly, from the time the new government came in August, I have been analyzing the presidency of an Ali. I like the politics, the working class politics, because I've known him a long time, of Anil Nandalal. And I saw a government which I felt that I should give a chance to. But to say in the columns it was program, one can just Google the columns from the time of August 2020 to up to now and to see where the columns lie. I would say the drift of my columns is to criticize people who I felt were enemies of democracy. But anyway, let's leave that. He said, can I see you? That was a Thursday before the Sunday column wasn't published. I said I cannot make it because my wife is going into hospital on Saturday. I'm making the arrangements on Friday for her to go into hospital on Saturday. She comes out Sunday. I have to look out. I have to look after her on Monday. So my best bet of seeing you would be Tuesday. He said, fine, Tuesday. I said, what time suits you? He said, 11. And that was it. It so happened the arrangement for my wife hospitalization was completed the Friday morning. So I had about 12 o'clock onwards for some time. So I called him and I say, look, let's get this matter out of the way. What you said to me on Thursday, I'm coming down to see you. He said, fine. And I came down. When I came down, I saw his advisor in the room, Mr. G.H.K. Lall. And from my posture, I was not prepared to discuss what he wanted to discuss with me with Mr. Lall there, with the G.H.K. Lall. It was clear from my posture, I thought we would have a one-on-one. In fairness to Mr. G.K.H. Lall, he got up and said, I would leave. Mr. Lall said, no, you stay. I couldn't see how I could have pursued a conversation. You talking about my column and, someone else is there. So he said, he knew I was uncomfortable. So he said, look, we stick with Tuesday. So Tuesday I would meet him. Now, that was that on the Friday. And things went normal until I didn't see the column on Sunday. And to repeat, I explained to the Guyanese people how I felt about the column not being carried, and I read the column. I'm looking for my water. Could you see if my water is there, Raymond? So that was that.
Oh, so
Now,
you before you continue, so you didn't call him. The arrangement for the meeting was the Tuesday. After it didn't come off on Friday because GKH was there.
no, I'm coming to what happened
So
then.
so you
So the Sunday thing is finished. We're into Monday, and Monday night
no
I
no
went to
oh
the program. I'm coming to the Tuesday now. Remember, we're
no no
supposed to have the
so you went on the program before you had the meeting with him because you didn't see
yes,
the
that was
column
Monday. The meeting is fixed for Tuesday, the next day.
Tuesday.
So I went in the Galari Freddie Kissoon program. I explained to people everything. The Tuesday now, we were supposed to have the meeting at 11 o'clock, but I was not going because of what happened, how my dignity was assaulted, that nobody called me to tell me about the column. For me, there was no more discussion with Mr. Lall. For me to walk into Mr. Lall's room to discuss what he wanted to discuss with me, without him contacting me with the column and the controversy with the column was all over the place. I thought again was an insult to my dignity. But it turned out that he called. He called about 25 past 11, and I answered. I will never forget the moment. I was cutting up dog meat, and my hand had a lot of things in it. So I held the phone with the dirty hand. And he said to me, "You're not coming down." And I said to him, "You called me to ask me to come down to speak to you, and you saw what you did with the column." That's because when I didn't see the column, I called the um the paper, and the editor in chief told me Mr. Lall rejected the column. I said, "Wait a minute, who you think you are that you could drop a column that I've written for 28 years and that people see as a valuable part of the paper? You could just tell me, you're coming down?" I said, "Listen, I would not tolerate that from anyone, much less you. You have to give me an explanation as to why, right here and now, you didn't carry my column." This is what he said to me. "Carry the," and he used the S word, not the bad S word, the other my S word. You know what I did? I saved you the S you wrote, not the bad S, the lighter S. I think you know what I meant by that. That were you right? You write a column saying they ain't got apartheid in this country? What wrong with you? You're blind? You don't see it all over you? And then the decibels were raised and expletives were used. Okay? I did say to him, "You are," and I used the F word, "madman." And he went on. I think anyone who know me, who would know I'm a liar if I say, "Man, Glenn," no. We both exchange expletives. And then he did something that I thought would have saved the day. And this was the Glen Lall I knew. So I said, "There's an opening up here." In all the shout, he just went quiet, very quiet, and said, and I'm quoting his exact words. He went very quiet, no decibels. He said, "Man, Freddie, not do me," the exact word, not "don't do me that." "Freddie, not do me the man. Man, Freddie, guy needs respect you. Man, but look what you do. People gonna respect you after that. Man, Freddie, I never thought you had a price. You letting these people pay you to write that." And I said, "Glenn, that was the end of it. What nonsense are you talking? People pay me to what I wrote there? I believe there is no apartheid in Guyana, and I resent you telling me people paying me." And I said, "Let me tell you something. Let me say, this is the end of you and me. You accusing me of taking money. I wrote for you for 28 years for pittance, and I never made any big request on you. I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to educate people. I wanted people to know who was Sigmund Freud, who was Martin Heidegger, and I wrote for you for 28 years, and you can tell me now I am being paid." And that was the end of that. That was Tuesday. Um, the Wednesday, that was the end of it. I heard nothing more. I knew nothing more. And then I was told, I don't look at Mr. Lall's show. I hardly look at shows. Um, I was told Mr. Lall had a radio program in which he lambasted me. Well, look, I've been in activism for 56 years now, man. The only thing I think people have not said about me in this life, 26 years as an academic, 34 years as a newspaper columnist, and 55 years of activism. And only two accusations were never made against me: that I stole money or that I am a homosexual. I've never heard anyone make those accusations. But I'm ugly. I am in this. I am a madman. I am in people's pay. All kinds of things I've heard for 55 years. So I went and I looked at the tape, and I found the tape was so shocking in its scandalization of me, but I wouldn't sue anyone. That there was no way I was going to allow that tape to go unresponded. And so I went there. I went on my program, the Freddie Kissoon show on Friday evening, and I addressed his accusations against me. One, he said that he's always had a problem with me from the time I start writing here with libel. And so he said, look, he said, he's telling his audience, given the way he writes, given who I am, I always had problems with libel with this guy, and he went on. Now, for your viewers and for everybody that's listening there, these are the facts. Norman Brown can now go, researchers like you can now go and check it. The last libel I got for 28 years of writing for the Kaieteur News, the last libel, I have never received any libel from 2000. One libel I have received for writing for the Kaieteur News from 2000, and that was 2010 by the president of Guyana, Mr. Jagdeo. One libel from 2000 right up to the present. Mr. Jagdeo's libel was settled. Anybody could ask me how it was settled, why it was settled. Anybody could come on your program, send in, typing thing, and ask me any question. I am here to face anybody question. They could say anything about me, I will reply. They could say, Freddie, you're a madman. Freddie, Mr. Lall is telling the truth. You're a liar. That's fine. I will accept that, but I will explain myself. So, Mr. Lall went on that program and talked about me being a libel risk. I've had one libel from 2000. There were two other things, and they were inconsequential and gone. One with a judge and one with Watson Myers. So that's it. Before the libels I got before 2000 were all in the 90s, and all of them were settled. I won one of them, the rest didn't come to court. Here is a man telling people about my ineligibility as a columnist, when at the present time, I've researched it. Friday I said 33. It's not 33, it's 43. 43 libel writs Mr. Lall has at the moment. In 1 year, Mr. Lall had 14 libel writs, which no newspaper or no television station in Guyana had for 14 years. Mr. Lall has just lost a libel suit against the former president. He has to pay 20 million. Mr. Lall has just lost 3 libel suits against the head of NISIL. He has to pay $35 million. There are much more coming up. I can't be certain, but I think I may be wrong, lost one of Miss Dr. Van West Charles. Now you can see how untenable and how absurd is a man, and how unintelligent to bring up a process of which he is saturated in and apply the process to me. Now,
hold 1 second. In relation to the libel, hold on. I need to make a point here. In relation to the libel, you said you said that he had the newspaper had so many more libel thing against it, but you had only one.
But
you said that you did not get many libel in relation to your column. I spoke to Mr. Lall yesterday for this in preparing for this program. I wanted to hear from him, and I also spoke with Mr. Adam Harris. And what Mr. Lall said to me and Mr. Adam Harris backed up is that very early, because they knew that what you were writing could have caused problems for the newspaper, they had to assign an editor specially to vet your articles before they go out, based on how libelous those articles were, and therefore editors after editors, none of your articles were allowed to go out unless they were checked properly and edited. That's what Mr. Lal said to me. So I wanted to know if that is why. I wanted to know if that is true. Secondly, Mr. Lal said to me that he wanted to talk to you. He wanted to have a meeting with you. That meeting was supposed to be held on that Tuesday because your viewership the Freddie Kissoon column would have been plummeting since 2018, and the viewership has gone down terribly. Today, in 2023, in 2022, and in 2023, and he attributes that to that shift in your style, that shift in the independent and objective way in which you are known to hold governments accountable, and so on. He also said that during the years he gave you the opportunity to edit newsletters, the letter section of the newspaper, and you would have made a mess out of that because you were malicious to people. If you didn't like somebody, you would have docked their letters. You would have, not do your work fairly. How do you respond to those
I don't think
revelations?
I think Mr. Lal, and I'm going to be frank here, I think nobody advises Mr. Lal or speaks to him before he opens his mouth. When you're going to say a columnist has to be now Norman Brown, we will see what you, Norman Brown, is made of. And so many other people that are looking at this program are made of in terms of how you apply logical analysis. I have to have a special editor to look at my columns, Norman Brown. And I have had one column, which the whole world knows, Mr. President Baba Jagdeo sued me. I don't know which special editor he's talking about. That never happened. But the libels I had was 1992, 98. The last one was 1999 with Mr. Ramsay, Dr. Ramsay. Now tell me, Norman Brown, and I'm asking, you may not be able to answer this, but the viewership of this program may be able to answer it. Who then, who then was the special editor that Mr. Lal employed to check Kaieteur News output that at the moment has resulted in Mr. Lal having 43 libel hits and having lost 3 against uh, Mr. Bassington, 1 against the former president, and have a whole set waiting in which 7 more is coming from Mr. Bassington that has been settled. And the judge said to them, say to Mr. Lal and his lawyer, the material in the first 3 libels that you were found libelous of is the same material in the 7 other libels. So can you guys come to a settlement? Now, I am going to ask your viewers when they type in, just for Mr. Lal to tell me who was the special editor that was looking for libelous material in the publication of Kaieteur News. Now, no one, as I said Friday night, no one must take my word for it. Please go on Google and look Kaieteur News versus Dr. Van West Charles. Kaieteur News versus this person, that Kaieteur News versus, and you will see the amount of libel wits this man have. There is a lawyer by the name of I can't remember his name. He has one coming out He has one that's about to be completed, of which the action sum is 200 million. I will get his name in a moment. Now, people will have, your readers will have to, you will have to ask Mr. Lall, who is the special editor assigned to him, you know, to stop this deluge of libels. Now, the thing about editing the papers. You know, it's funny. It's funny, and I am going to be quite frank. It's funny how a man, without any proper education and without any ability to string along concepts, could make himself such an intellectual and decide on who could edit a letter and who could write a column without getting libel. But now we see the truth. We see the truth of someone who's been a columnist for 28 years and never had 3 libels, and one who could knows to run a newspaper and has 34 and has to pay right now $65 million. But let's talk about editing the letters. Mr. Lal called me. I want to tell you this. Very few people in Guyana, very few people in Guyana do not know Mr. Lal's style and his exaggeration and his lies. Anyway, there was an editor by the name of Nigel Mackenzie who left the job. And Mr. Lal called me and asked me, we have a vacuum, if I could edit the letters. I don't know how Mr. Lal knows who doc letters or who undoc letters. But I edited the letters for 6 months quite professionally. And it came to an end over 2 issues. And that was me. And as this program go on, you'll have much more to hear about Mr. Lal. But I think you're educated enough to know. I edited these letters and I put a letter in by a woman who said, for 4 months now, she's trying to get her refund from Fly Jamaica. I think the name of the thing was Fly Jamaica, Fly Jamaica. And the letter carried. This guy came up to me and said, you carry a letter with Fly Jamaica? I know the man, I know those people. How you could do that company that? And I just, there are times that I have used very, very, very unpleasant adjective to describe this man. Unpleasant adjectives. I said, that woman is complaining what a company. That was the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end of my letter editorship. He says 6 months. It was probably less than 6 months. A letter was published by the then head, the then CEO of a group of a state institution called SARA, State Recovery Asset, right, by Mr. Retty Meyer. Mr. Retty Meyer published a letter on Mr. Hamilton Green, and that letter was carried. He called me to tell me, and this was the end, an unpleasant exchange, how that letter by Hamilton Green came into the papers. I said, what nonsense are you asking me? You go into the server, you pull out the letters, and you publish it. He said, I want to know how that letter get there. I said, well, maybe it get there through you putting it there. And that was the end of that. That was the end of my editing any letter which he asked me to edit. Now, about the dropping of the ratings of the columns. Mr. Lal said on his program since 2018, my viewership was dropping because, I am not independent anymore. So it's clear to me then that the readership doesn't want to hear what I have to say. I don't know about that, but most importantly, in 2018, if you read the columns, this is where this man is so intelligent and he doesn't open his mouth. He opens his mouth and he doesn't get advice. You read my column from 2018. From 2018, if you go to any Freddie Kissoon column, I was criticizing opposition and criticizing government in 2018, 2019, in 2020, in 2020, I wrote who I voted for. Lennox Schumann, Liberty and Justice Party. All the 2018 and 2019 columns, I was the same Freddie Kissoon. So I don't know in 2018 and 2019 how it could be dropping when I was criticizing both government and opposition. Please, the readers out there, go and Google the Freddie Kissoon columns to 2018 and 2019. Now the question that Mr. Lall has to answer. If the Freddie Kissoon column was dropping, could could um could somebody tell me which section of the paper, was rising in viewership? Which section of the paper was rising? Which other columnist was rising and Freddie Kissoon was dropping? That is for Mr. Lall to answer. So I think uh,
I
I've
think
answered the three parts. Let me conclude by saying I don't know what Mr. Harris said, but I sent my columns and there was no special editor. Mr. Harris, Mr. Lall should tell us who's the special editor and what was the role of that special editor in preventing the Kaieteur news and Mr. Lall from getting the amount of libel rates he got now. I will conclude by saying, just Google the libel rates. Google, you cannot lose. Google the libel rates Mr. Lall get, and Google the libel rates Freddie Kissoon got. And
let,
I wrote
you're breaking up a bit there, Freddie. Let's
Norman
go.
Brown. I never one like
Let's you're breaking up a bit there. Let's go to this clip, and I think Freddie's broken up there.
yeah.
Um, so we're getting some static from Freddie's end. We do apologize for that interruption there. Let me go to what Mr. Glen Lall had to say while we await Freddie to call back in.
He writes for or listens to my radio program about the crooks he now turn a mouthpiece for. Uncle, you know, when you talk about sellout in business, is when you're there bad. Or you got the last set of products on your hand and you want to get rid of it to catch your hand. Well, Freddie Kissoon ain't got a business. So he trying to catch your hand selling out himself, promoting a set of crooks. And I said that because I was in Africa where I heard he and Gildari started to do an online radio program. Something they call a radio online show. So when I came back, and I'll be very frank with you people, I did call Gildari and ask him what happened, bro. When you leave Kaieteur News, you told me, boss, you weren't feeling well and that your eyes were giving you some problems and you were going to get it fixed. I even asked him, uncle, to work from home, not to write anymore in the newspaper, but to continue to host the radio program he had initiated on the Kaieteur radio, just to keep him occupied and let him collect a salary. And he did tell me, boss, the radio program will call for a lot of reading, and you know, that will affect the eyes more. So I leave it like that and give him his pension package and wish him well. Yes, good luck. Lo and behold, there he is doing a radio program with Freddie Kissoon online. I called Freddie too and said, Freddie, I am surprised at you. going to an online radio when you could have been doing a program on the Kaieteur radio in which you would have more online viewership and the entire Guyana populace at the same time. You know what he said, Uncle and Auntie? Glenn, you never tell me anything, and the people offer me something. Yes, Freddie, something for do. Yes, something for do what you're doing there, selling out your soul to the devils. Just to let you guys know, Uncle, both Freddie and Gildari know very well that Kaieteur News is not run as a one-man show. We always have a daily meeting to discuss every major issues or story.
Glen Lall there giving his view. Freddie, you would have heard what Mr. Lall had to say there. Selling your soul to the devils, for a pittance, and all these other accusations. How do you respond?
Okay, well, Gildawi could speak for himself, although I know how he treated that man. But he's so stupid. There aren't words to use to describe the idiocy of this man. Gildawi is of a different temperament to me. Gildawi said to him, my eyes have problems. And Gildawi left. Now, I would have said, I am leaving because you are a tyrant and you're a stupid man. But not everybody say those things. He has chased so many people. He has chased so many people. So many people have given him excuse. So what you expect Gildawi to say? Gildawi just quietly is a decent man. He had enough of that monstrosities, those monstrosities, and he said, my eyes giving me problem, and the guy happily left and went into business. Now, I have total disrespect for Mr. Lall the past 20 years. Let me tell you some of the problems. You see, people don't know these things, Norman Brown. People don't know these things. And let me tell you, Mr. Lall dare not call me and tell me, so you're doing
You
big
break.
real money. I don't, Mr. Norman Wong, please analyze the output of Mr. Lall on that very clip you play. He said, I haven't seen Freddie Kissoon for 2 years. So a man that I'm contemptuous of, I haven't seen for 2 years, call me and want me to explain to him. I have no obligation to Lall. I don't see Lall. I don't speak to Lall. Lall could call me and ask me why you start a program with Gaddafi, and I will tell Lal, oh, they give me something. I have any obligation to tell Mr. Lal. That very man in that very clip said he hasn't seen me for 2 years. Let me tell you the tumultuous relation I have had with Glen Lall so I could carry my head high in this country. And these things have not come out and they're coming out now. I have seen some
Freddie,
emails I got.
if you keep moving, the static is gonna break, and you're
Yeah, yeah,
becoming blurry. So
yeah.
try
Right.
to
And
try to
okay.
stay in frame. And
Now,
yeah,
right. I don't think anybody who knows me, anybody who knows who I am, and anybody who knows who Mr. Lal is, has to be a congenital fool to think that Mr. Lal could call me and ask me, so you got a program with Gildawi? And I would tell Mr. Lal, a person I've had contempt for years. But I will explain why I was still writing there. I could, you could say it to me, but that's hypocrisy. I will accept that and I will explain. But Mr. Lal called me and I will say, they give me something. But the same time he said, they give me something, please listen to the clip back. In the same breath, he said, they give me something. He said Jack Dio was paying me handsomely and a lot of money. So Jack Dio was paying me handsomely and a lot of money. And the people give me something for the Gildawi show. Norman Bong, you're too educated not to see. the poverties in those output. But let me tell you about Mr. Lal and why I am still writing there. There were times I terminated that column. There were times people asked me to continue writing. There were times Mr. Lal wanted to terminate it, and he didn't because of the following. The first issue of me stop writing for Kaieteur came with a lady named Stella Ramsaroop. She's the sister-in-law of the head of Go Invest, Mr. Peter Ramsaroop. That was the first time the column would have stopped. Ms. Ramsaroop came to me and said she got complaints from women in the company that Mr. Lal is not giving the 3 months maternity leave for 1 month. And she said, I can't continue being a columnist with this newspaper. I'm going to confront Mr. Lal. And I said to her, I don't accept that. And you could tell Mr. Lal, I don't accept that. I would not tolerate that. Whatever happened to her and Lal over that, she stopped being a columnist. Mr. Lal never told me anything. He knew my position on the maternity leave. I was prepared at that time for him to say, stop writing. I didn't stop. Stella Ramsaroop asked me why I didn't stop. And I'm telling you now, over the maternity leave thing, why I didn't stop. I did not stop because I wanted to write. Norman Brown, this is where I am at my most vulnerable. And people who don't like me will come after me. I will have to take it, and I will have to invoke my philosophy and morality to respond to them. I wanted to write. So when Stella left, I continued to write because I wanted to write. Secondly, Norman, the, my paper, the Catholic Standard, had gone, and I had stopped writing for the Starbuck News over an incident with the WPA. And I still didn't have a bad relation with the Starbuck News. But the Starbuck News relation and I broke down permanently. Mr. David Akeris sent his girlfriend to the University of Guyana, and she appeared in my class. I know this girl because I was a columnist at the Starbuck News. I know this girl didn't have even one CXC. So when she came into my class, but I know her relationship with Mr. Akeris, I was shocked. So I went to the dean and I said, you need 5 CXC with maths and English to get into UG. What is that young lady doing here? That young lady is in my class. The Starbuck News is a watchdog for democracy, for principles, for accountability. I am not teaching that young lady. It so happened the matter, I went to the dean. His name was Dr. Cyril Solomon. And I said to him, I know this young lady, she works at Starbuck News, she hasn't got 5 CXC. So that was a big blow up. I thought I was doing right. It had nothing to do with David Akeris. It had nothing to do, the woman got into UG illegally. I know she was David Akeris' girlfriend, but that was not the issue. If David Akeris and the Starbuck News could write about wrongs, I could write about wrongs. So when the bus up came, I couldn't go to Starbuck. I don't think Starbuck would have accepted me anyway after the bus up I had with them over the WPA and what I found out. So I continued to write. The second time the column would have ended was Mr. Lal started another Kaieteur called Kaieteur News New York. And Mr. Lal does no accountancy, he does no journalism. So everybody knows what goes on in Kaieteur News because the people there have to do the work. So we found out that the Kaieteur News New York was making more money than the Guyana Kaieteur News because they were getting lots of ads from the United States. And this paper was bigger than the Sunday Kaieteur News. So I went to Mr. Lal and I said, you are putting my column in the New York Kaieteur News and I'm not being paid. This is what he said to me. But you're glad people out there reading Freddie Kissoon? I said, but they're reading it and they're paying for it and they're paying you for it. So why should I not get paid? We argued and he said, whatever, and he took the high ground. He never committed to pay me. At that time, Moses Nagamutu was doing some work for him, and Moses was close to him, and I was close to Moses Nagamutu. I hope Moses doesn't feign amnesia, and he doesn't speak at all. He's very quiet the past 3 years. I hope this will give him an opportunity to say something, and I hope he doesn't say, I can't remember that, I forget. No, Freddie, that is not so. I went to Moses, and I said, Moses, Glenn is making a ton of money on the Kaieteur News using our story. That is my column. Can you tell him he has to pay me? Moses was shocked, and Moses said, yes, it's another newspaper. And so Moses went to him and asked him, look, you can't do that. That is copyright. The man writes for Guyana, if the man writes for New York. And he agreed. He agreed to pay me. And that was the end of that. Months passed, and I wasn't getting this payment. So I went to Moses again. I said, Moses, the guy you pay me. Moses said, listen, what more I could do, man? So I went into him and I said, Mr. Lall, from now on, my column will be stopped unless you pay me for the New York Kaieteur News. Do not put my column in the New York, or I am finished with this newspaper. I found out weeks after that the column had stopped going into the New York edition. That was the second time that the column would have been stopped by me if he didn't stop putting my column in the New York edition. Thereon, we've had several confrontational. People see me writing for the Kaieteur News. It is simply wrong, and I don't want no sorrow from nobody or no admiration from nobody. It is misleading to think that over the years I have not stood up. I have not stood up for principles. And let me tell you the third one in which I was walked away from Kaieteur, and he asked me to stay. Some men invaded Kaieteur. I can't talk of why they invaded Kaieteur. That would be serious. But if I say why those men were killed, I know for a fact the state will protect me if anybody come to endanger my life. But I don't want to go there why those men killed. We all know that. Adam Harris know that. All of us that work at Kaieteur know that. The government of the day know that, why those men were killed. Anyway, 5 people were killed at the Kaieteur News. And that is that. Mr. Lall started a public fund for these people. Good. The fund, that's none of my business. I know what's going on. He started a fund. One of the wives came to me and said to me, and these are things people don't know. I have my redemptive qualities, but I don't wear it on my sleeve. I remember very well, she came to me and said she went to Mr. Lall. She went to Mr. Lall for whatever you call it, compensation. Her husband was killed. And Mr. Lall told her, you can get money from the public thing about people donating. She said Mr. Lall paid out the money to each one of them that the public gave. That was a big thing in the papers. And she said to me, but I was told I am entitled as a widower from whatever the law is. And she said Mr. Lall told her that she should be satisfied with what she got from so Norman Brown. He paid out money to the widows and the widowers of those 5 people from public subscription and didn't meet his obligation to the law from his own purse. So I flew to him and I said, this lady came to me and I said, Glenn, the company has to pay those people. And we had a bust out with that. I never threatened not to. Nothing about column came in. But I know I was at the risk of saying, I don't want you to space to stop writing. He never said that to me. The last one came. The last bust out came when somebody very dear to me, very lovely to me, and someone that I loved and my wife loved, Dale Andrews. The land use was having a heart problem. Now, Mbong, if I tell you these things, I am going to speak these things about Mr. Lal. Now, Deland Hughes died from a heart attack, which could have been prevented if you had a generous employer. Now, let Harris, I don't, Mr. Harris treated on ceremoniously by Mr. Lal. But Harris knows, because Harris and I was involved. I was the one who took Dale Andrews to Dr. Sony. Now, researchers should do these things to Dr. Sony for medical treatment. I can't see Adam Harris saying no. The thing, the money was so much that Dr. Sony only charges $25,000. When I went to Glen and asked him for the $25,000 for Dale Andrews' heart treatment, he refused, and Adam Harris paid it. I cannot see Adam Harris saying, well, he wouldn't say no, he didn't pay it. He was quite generous. So, Dale Andrews died from a heart attack. And of course, I knew Dale Andrews well. We were closest in the Kaieteur news. Was my buddy friend. Dale Andrews' wife came to me and told me that Mr. Lal told her when she went to him, well, I bought a car for Dale. The car is the compensation. That is what, and whatever happened, him and I had it out over Dale. Again, he could have stopped the column. In all honesty, I never said, because the way you treat Dale, I would not stop writing. The only time I was prepared to stop writing is when he was making money on my column in the New York thing. I don't know if I should be chauvinist and say making money in my column, but I felt I should be paid. That's the only time. In the Stella Ramsaroop thing with the maternity leave, I never said I would join my column. With the thing with the 5 men who got killed, I never said I would join my column. I only said I would join my column if he did not stop printing my column in the New York edition. So over the years, I distanced myself from Mr. Lal. I had nothing to do with Mr. Lal. Mr. Lal was right when he said, for 2 years I haven't seen him. It wasn't 2 years. The last time I had a conversation with Mr. Lal was 2015, the election victory of APNU. He said to me, he said, you did well, and he gave me some money. We were all there. That was the last time. The next time I spoke to Mr. Lal was the 2020 election. I send my columns, I don't go there. Gildari and I started a program on the radio station, and he would come in, but he would talk with Harris, this, that, and he wouldn't talk directly to me. So from 2015, I had hardly any meaningful thing. Only meaningful conversation I had with Glen Lall was when the results of the 2020 election declared. He said to me, and I wrote this in my column twice, he didn't respond, and I said this on Friday night. He said to me, you played no small part. Just like how he told me in 2015, and he gave me, it was $30,000. You played no small part in the results of the 2015 election. He said, you played no small part. And he said, look, I have $300,000 on the table there. You deserve it. I then, quite in a civilized way, said, no, I don't want it. From that time, Norman Brown.
I think we get some static from Freddie there again.
Now, I know you got all this thing. Now, I know people would say, you're right, and now let us get one thing straight, Norman Brown. After that telephone conversation on Tuesday, in which Mr. Lal accused me of taking money from Barra Jagdeo to write, there would have been no more columns anymore. It is perhaps...
But Freddie, why does it upset you so much when people ask you or accuse you of taking money from the... I saw Ganesh Mahipal on your show, and you became very irate. Give me 1 second. Let me, I'll allow you to speak. I'll give you the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, so sorry.
You get really irate whenever
Yeah.
people accuse you of taking money from this government. One of the things I observe, based on what you have been saying there in terms of working with Kaieteur News and Mr. Lal's attitude to authority, in which you're saying that he is not a good boss. He's not a nice person. That is what you're saying in essence. But you've been with him for 28 years. Gildari would have been with him for about 15 years. Most of the people who work there on a long term. You are paid by you were paid by Kaieteur News, and you saw these atrocities going on, and you never decided to speak out. You never decided to leave. You know, it just can't be you hold your hands up now today to say I take the blame for that, not speaking out. Why didn't you speak out? Was it because you were on the payroll? Why are you not speaking out against any excesses of the government that people are saying you should speak out against, because that's your modus operandi. That is what you were loved and respected for throughout the years, holding governments accountable, whether it was the APNU government or the coalition government or the PPP, successive PPP governments. Today, you you are not saying anything much about what people see as the excesses of this government. Just like you would not have spoken out against Mr. Lal on these excesses because you were in the employs of the Kaieteur News for 28 years. And because Mr. Lal, you're saying, accused you of taking money from the PPP, selling your pen, as he said, using the newspapers as the government mouthpiece, you decided to now come out to say all of these things. What is happening there?
Okay, I will explain all of that. I think part of it I have just explained. But let's look at why I get irate. I get irate when people tell me I'm being paid because I want the money. I don't mind having the money. So I am annoyed that I'm being accused of being. I've said it in my columns. I've said it in the Gildari show. If the government wants to give me a handsome check for doing whatever they want, I will look at what they want me to do, and I will decide if I want to continue or if I want to take it. As to the government paying me to write for the Kaieteur News, then I I would take it. I would take it. I This is the thing about me. You can criticize me. I'm not saying that I wouldn't take the money. I would take the money. I would have to decide how much it is. I would have to look at my dignity. I would have to look at what I write. But the truth of the matter is, I need the money, and nobody has offered me the money on Sunday, February the 5th, 2023. That may be putting it over comically.
Yeah, hold on. But
It,
both
that may
Adam,
be,
1 second. Both Adam Harris and Glen Lall said to me that you would use the column to get money from people. You would write and say, and my car doesn't even have any proper tires. That's how humble I am. That's how, I'm not into this money thing. And then Glenn would give you 4 tires, and then other people would offer you those tires, and they would say to Glenn, and Adam Harris backed that up, I think, and say to these people, oh, no, don't give me the tires, give me the money, when you would have gotten the tires already. And on several occasions, you would have used a column to say that this is a problem you had, and when people offered, whatever it is, you would say, instead of giving me the material, I will take the money. Are these accusations malicious towards you, or because they are saying that people have brought that to their attention?
yeah.
How do you respond to that?
Well, there's only one way to respond to that. I have told you when this web program started. I've had 55 years of activism. And only two accusations have never been made against me: that I stole money or that I'm a homosexual. I have I have been active all my life. I have met people, I have met presidents who would have gladly put me in their employ. I know no incident, but you have to accept it. This comes with the territory. This comes from people like like Adam Harris. This comes from people like Glen Lall, that I four tires. You, what you know me of being a person known in Guyana. I have been a university lecturer for 26 years. I have been a columnist for newspaper for 34 years. I have been active with ministers and presidents knowing me. And I can go and tell somebody, I can write a column, give me four tires. Do you know I am quoting people. I have said this in my column. Stanley Ming offered me. I am calling Stanley Ming's name. I am calling one of the most prominent, honest businessmen in this country. I have written this in my column. I am not a low life like Adam Harris or Glen Lall. Stanley Ming offered me a generator for my home. And I said, as a newspaperman, as a media operative, I cannot take things from business people. That's one name I've called. The Mr. Nazar Mohammed called me in. He's known as Shell. About 15 years ago, and I'm calling these people names, and I've written these things. Mr. Nazar Mohammed called me in. This is a very, very wealthy man. He called me to discuss an issue of human rights. And when we were finished speaking, he said to me, I'd like to make this donation to you, right, in an envelope. And I said, look, I cannot accept that. I'm quoting him. Years after I met him, and he said, you know, you should have taken that thing. And I said, if it was zakat, you're a Muslim, people give zakat. I've never taken it. Now, that thing that Adam Harris and Glen Lall said, I have faced worse than that. People have said worse than that about me. Worse than that. I am surprised you telling me about four tires. I thought it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars over a period of time. So let me get down the way. I am prepared. I come on this program. I will go on much more program like this. And I will hear people tell me about you went to a man's store and when you write it and he gave you a bag of gold. Look, that comes with the territory. There's one thing I know. After 55 years of activism, I know Guyanese people know me, and I know how they will stack me up against Glen Lall and how they will stack me up against Adam Harris. So I don't have any, I wouldn't lose any sleepless nights about a man giving me four tires, about somebody giving me a month's ration. That comes with the territory. Now, I think the thing that we need to expand on is being paid for the columns. Now, why would, it's simple. No, I dealt with that. You asked me why I'm not speaking about against the excesses of the government. Let me tell you now about Freud, and let me now analyze.
Freddie, we cannot intellectualize everything. I want you to talk. I don't want you to complicate it by intellectualizing it.
No, listen to me. You also.
I will allow you to talk all. This program is yours. I will allow you to talk, but I can still ask you not to intellectualize.
I have to bring theory.
Yeah, but sometimes the theories don't really be grounded in. But I'm asking. Let me ask you a direct question for the layman. Let me ask you a direct question for the layman. But before I ask you this question,
I'm asking a question about why I'm not speaking. Yes, ask me the question.
Why you not? No, go ahead. Why you? What did you say? Why you not? The question. What I asked you? What?
What?
You were
You
answering a
saying to
question.
me why I'm not speaking out against the excesses of the government, and people are saying this, and I am now going to answer that, and I was going to
Yeah, go
apply
ahead and answer
Freud.
that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to apply Freud to you and so many thousands of other people, not in any accusatory way. I am an intellectual. I was trained in Freud's philosophy, and it's relevant to understanding how people see me and how people see things. I have been an activist against the presidency of Burnham, Hoyt, Chedi Jagan, Barrett Jagdeo, leave out Mr. Jagan, Donald Ramatal. You know what happened?
And David Granger.
And Granger, I believe my activism, and this is where I am going to get frank, and I'm going to get very, very no nonsense with people. And this is where we go to have a debate, because what you, Norman Brown, and so many people see with this government, I don't see it. So I can't write about what I don't see. So we come into that. We come into the excesses which I don't see, and which people want me to see, because I've been writing about excesses. Because I've been writing about excesses since Burnham times. So here is where Freud comes in. People who say I don't write about Orphan Ali, or I don't write about the present government, is because I used to write about Burnham. I used to write about Hoyt. I went full head with Jagdeo, and the things were thrown in my face. My wife was dismissed. I got libel with. I got attacked twice. Freddie, you were this big, bad guy who criticized power. Glen Lall said it in that clip. He used to, you know what happened? Well, you know what happened? Norman Bong? Dialectics occur. You said don't intellectualize. I've seen the dialectics of my country from March 2020. I've seen the betrayal, the utter ideological emptiness, the moral depravity of the people that I've struggled with for 50-something years. I see it unfolding, and I say to myself, this is what I have been to jail with Mark Benchup for. This is what I had things thrown in my face for. This is what I almost lose my life twice for. And so we come. This is where you and I will have an exchange now. We come to March 2020, and after 5 months of a rigged election, a new government come into power. And I am prepared. I will face the thing about being paid tomorrow. I will face it. I saw in August 2020 a new dispensation, and with the oil economy, I saw Dr. Ali and a few of his ministers going in a direction that I support. Now, when I see the excesses, you talk about that, I don't see it.
But what?
Freddie,
hold on.
Yes, I'm holding on.
What excesses you don't see? The excesses in terms of government contracts going primarily and largely to Indo-Guyanese businessmen and friends of the PPP. What you don't see? The government state police, the state police trampling on the rights and freedom of people in Guyana. What you don't see? Tell me, don't you see anything wrong? Did you see anything wrong with the houses and the homes and the being bulldozed in Makkah? People's animals being buried alive. You don't. These are things you wrote about. You wrote a paper on Jagdeo being an ideological racist, and you wrote extensively about the government and what it has done, Jagdeo's government, and what it has done to bring African Guyanese to a state of impoverishment that is akin to slavery. You have written extensively, you have done these things. Today, there are excesses happening, but you choose to say you don't see them. Have you become blind today? Can you be objective enough to say, I want to support this government? I think the people I have associated with and struggled with, they have no morality, they didn't treat me well. So in response to that treatment, I have decided to take a stand. I will support the other side. Even though the immoralities are there, I will leave this side that I was on, that I found to be immoral, and all of that like the previous government, and I will go to this side. I will join critic who called black women the worst things. What the pastor does to them in church. You said Mr. Glen Lall is not intelligent. I am sure Glen Lall is more intelligent than critic. And you are there supporting critic. When critic would say these nasty and horrible and racist things about African Guyanese, you don't see that, but you will associate with them, you will work with them, you will take a paycheck from them. You get him addressed because the Freddie Kissoon that we know, and we admired, and that inspired us, is the Freddie Kissoon that stood up and called a spade publicly. Today you were saying that when you were in Kaieteur Youth for 20 years, you saw excesses and you regret not speaking about it. But you were speaking about excesses outside while you saw the excesses inside of Kaieteur News. And you didn't say anything for that time. You are writing in favor of the government, many believe, and you are refusing now to see the excesses. And you have turned on Glen Lall because he says you have become a mouthpiece. What do you think people will think? What do you think that the philosophical mind will say about you? No, I'm going to finish, but I will allow you to talk, and I will allow you to talk a long time. I want to draw the parallel. I want to draw the parallel here. Right? We're dealing with facts. One has to analyze what you say and respond to it.
With your facts or we dealing
No, we're dealing the facts of hold on, the facts of what
may not be my facts.
but Freddie, the facts that you just stated. Freddie, I am dealing with the facts you just stated. What you said. You said on this program, Freddie, that you saw excesses in Kaieteur News. You saw what Glen Lall was like in Kaieteur News. Wait, let me finish. You said that. That is what I'm talking about. You said that. I'm trying to analyze whether, while you were speaking about the excesses of the PPP regime back then, that because you were working with Glen Lall, you were on the payroll, you were friends with Glen Lall, and many in Kaieteur News, that you turn a blind eye to all these things that were happening there, and not spoke out against it. You didn't walk out and said, I can't work in an environment where these things are happening. It's against my principle. You didn't do that. But you come out today, you apologize.
You finished?
Let me finish, man. I've allowed you to talk for more than an hour on.
Are you in this interview for your platform? Are you finished? Tell me when you're going to finish. And then I start.
I will not interrupt you, but listen to me, Freddie.
Don't interrupt me.
I am only talking to you about what you're saying on this program.
You finished?
I am, Mark, don't keep asking me if I'm finished. Respect your friend a little bit. You don't expect me not to challenge you, So, this is a program. We're dealing with the people.
Are you finished, sir? But you're interviewing me, and you're speaking for the past 10 minutes. There are
people who said I've been so quiet on this program. How long have I given you to talk on this program? We're having an exchange now.
You're interviewing
but
me.
I am allowed to have.
Having an exchange.
Yeah, but I have to draw some clarifications. I have to. I can't just allow you. Right. So hold on a minute. Don't ask me again if I'm finished, Freddie. When I finish, I will say, Freddie, what do you have to say about that? Don't do that. Don't do that. I am your guest. You are my guest, but you know about.
You interview me. I don't want you to use you should not use your platform. You should ask me questions, and
I am asking you questions. What I'm saying to you here, Freddie.
Tell me when you finish.
Freddie, what I am saying to you here is that I have given you this platform, and you've spoken for about 2 hours without being interrupted. We are at a point now where We are having a discourse. I am questioning you.
When you
Why is it
no,
that
we're
you?
not having
I'm
we're
asking the
not having a
question.
discussion. We're having a discussion by you on me. You're not talking about
No,
Bob Son or Michael Jackson. You're
that's what
talking about Freddie Kissoon.
I
So
am
let me
asking
respond to
you.
you.
I am, hold on. I am not. You take things personally, and that's a fault line of yours. You become
Listen,
emotionally clouded.
listen.
I am not
When are you
attacking
going to
you,
give,
but I
listen,
am not
when are you
attacking
going to
you. I
when
am
are
not
you going to
attacking
give me
you.
that? When are you going to give me a chance to respond
I
to
will
what you've
give
been
you a
saying about
chance
Freddie
to,
Kissoon?
but you need to be patient. You can't be bullish. You can't bully
No,
me
I
on the
don't.
program.
I need to
All
be
right.
patient, but I don't need to be manipulated.
No, I'm
I
not
need to be
manipulating.
patient,
I
but I
am not
don't need to be
manipulating you,
manipulated.
and I would not do that to you. I would not do that to you. I am
I'm
at
ready. I'm ready now.
is
I'm ready now to
Freddie,
respond.
Freddie,
I'm ready
Freddie.
now to
Don't
respond to
tell
you.
me. Let me finish. Allow me to finish before you
So
respond.
when are you
Be
going to?
pa-
When are you going to
but
finish?
when I finish, give me the chance. If you keep asking me, I'm not going to finish. Just wait.
And and so
Let's
your
go.
time is sitting
Let's
here.
go after a short break to hear what Freddie had to say about Glen Lall here, and then we resume.
Has done. The latest is Charmin Granger, a beautiful human that I've worked with Kaieteur with for 15 years, a woman that won't harm a fly. I know what they've said to me, and they've gone their own way with no complaints. I met a nice little girl on the beach with her husband. I know what Mr. Lal did, and they all gone their way, and they haven't said nothing. I have a pen, and I have a voice. And now that I'm gone, I will let the Guyanese people know of the atrocities.
Freddie Kissoon here on Voice of the Diaspora. As you said there, you've seen all these things happen, and you are going to write about them now, and that's because Mr. Lal has accused you of being being on the payroll of the government. I'll give you the opportunity now, Freddie Kissoon, to come in and to give your view. Let me see. You're on air, Freddie. You can talk. You're live, Freddie. You can
Okay.
talk. Yeah, you're
Let me
live.
respond to you. Let me respond to your Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Let me respond to your 10 minutes. First of all, I see your drift. I see your drift, and I resent your drift. You made a distinction between critic and Kaieteur News. And let me tell you why you made a distinction between critic and Kaieteur News. You said, no, I'm criticizing Glen Lall because Glen Lall accused me of writing for this and that. And then you juxtapose critic and Kaieteur News. So it's clear to me, I know where you come in.
Where am I coming from? Where am
No,
I?
let me tell you where you
I am not
are.
coming
You
from
going to allow me?
anywhere.
Look, you had 10 minutes non-stop.
No, but you're
Let me
accusing me
be-
wrongfully. I don't have any agenda. I don't have any agenda.
You said all kinds of things. Look, Norman.
Go ahead,
Let's
talk.
respect each other.
Let's talk,
You went
talk.
on for 10 minutes. You went on for 10 minutes and you tell me, but I'm in bed with critic and all that kind of nonsense. I'm not in bed with anyone. I could ask you who you're in bed with. That's the problem. The problem is Freddie Kissoon is taking money. Freddie Kissoon is in bed with critic. I could say, are you in bed with Glen Lall? It is how we approach things. And let me tell you something. I stopped writing for Glen Lall because Glen Lall and maybe others, and I hope not you, want me to write what they want me to write on. For example,
No, they want you to write the facts. They want you to write the facts. They're not seeing that. Go ahead.
No,
Go
you have the
ahead.
facts. So your facts are the objective facts. Your facts are the objective facts. Now you telling me about contractors. How do I know that is not propaganda in Glen Lall and that we have to see the statistics? You telling me Indian people getting this and getting that. Why so am I supposed to accept that when nobody has published a paper except Ravi Dev, who keeps saying when these things are made, we must have ethnic impact statements. Norman Brown, bring the ethnic impact statement here to me and say, Freddie, look, don't stifle your conscience. But don't tell me, Freddie, look these excesses. People getting contract. I am not going to fall for that.
You're investigative journalist. You said about investigative journalism that must be adopted in Guyana. But why didn't you investigate that?
Hold on. Are we going to continue like this, or you going to?
No, but you say you don't have the facts. Go ahead. Go ahead, Freddie. Go ahead.
If you want to have the platform, I will give you, and I will wait, but don't interrupt me. You said a lot of things. It's clear to me. You said don't bring in intellectual, but I have to bring in intellectual because I'm intellectualizing you.
Why don't want you? It's not about me. It's not about me. This program is not about me. It's about you answering the questions. But don't intellectualize me. Don't intellectualize me or we'll end the show. Don't attack me. Don't attack me. Freddie, don't attack me. It seems like you're not. It is not about me. Don't.
And I asked you to give me the chance to respond to
But
all the
it's
things
not
you said.
about me. Don't come at me. I am interviewing you. Don't come at me. I'm not Gildari. I am not them. I'm your friend. But we're doing a program.
I am coming at you because you're making accusations about me. One of which is that I think that I stopped writing because Glen Lall this. That is an accusation you made to me.
You said it on this program.
I am in the pair of critic. What makes you think
I never said that.
It's worse than Glen Lall?
I never said that.
What I'm asking you now, what makes you think critic is worse than Glen Lall? Answer. You made accusation and tell me, but you know what's happened to people like you? People like you.
Freddie, don't come on my show. Don't come on my show talk to me about people like me. Don't get disrespectful. I allowed you on this program and I see you as a friend. Don't get disrespectful. Don't get disrespectful. Don't call me people like you. Have some manners.
Apologize for telling me.
But I will not apologize to you. Don't come on my program and tell me people like who. Deal with the facts. Deal with the facts. Deal with the facts. Freddie, deal with the facts. No, Freddie, deal with the facts. Don't call me people like you. Whenever people oppose you, when people oppose you, you get very, very upset. Like you are the only right person, like everything that you say is right. It's a bad state. Freddie, go back to the point. Let's go back to the point. You're getting personal. Let me go back to the point. Let me go to this clip. Let me go to this clip.
And the entire staff, including you, Freddie, and Gildari know that. Yes. You guys know that if something is unhealthy for the newspaper, any employee can raise the subject matter in which we can all take corrective measures. Or
listen, Freddie, speak. But don't you go ahead. I'll let you speak. But don't talk about me. I am interviewing you. Deal with the facts. Then I will cut you off. No, I will cut you off. I will cut you off.
I will talk about you.
Listen,
you talk about me.
You take things.
And I will not allow you.
But you bully me. But you bully me. You bully me on my show. You bully me on my show.
You bully me by telling me
emotions. But go ahead. Go ahead. Art, relax and talk. I'll give you a chance to talk. Just relax and talk.
You not hear what you need.
Your emotion. Don't talk about me, man. I relax now. Let me calm down.
Unless you end the show, I will talk about you because you're talking about me.
Freddie, hold on. All I said to you, don't refer to me like people like you. Don't refer to me like that. But go ahead and talk. Go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
I refer to people like you, meaning people like you who make accusations against me.
No, but it's derogatory, and you know that in the Guyana context, when you say people like you, what you mean. So don't come and bluff me here. Anyway, go ahead and talk. Go ahead and talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me the Guyanese context.
Oh no, man, just deal with the issues, no, man. You said you're saying that you don't see any excesses in the PPP. Go ahead. You don't see anything. You don't see. Go ahead.
You have to tell me What are the excesses? You have to tell me what are the excesses. I resent you telling me. And I saw this in you, and I'm intellectualizing on you now. You feel that Glen Lall has I will not
Freddie,
be
breaking up.
put into a mode by people like Glen Lall and so many others who used Freddie Kissoon for the past 20-something years. Let me make it clear, I do not see this government as undemocratic. Glen Lall is using his papers anti-government. Glen Lall, play the clip. He said, clear it to me. Play it. He used to write about the government. So hear what he's saying. You used to write against the government. Why are you writing against the government now? You have just said that to me. So hear what you and Glen Lall are telling me. Life is static. Life is dynamic. Life isn't dynamic. Life is static. You once was Freddie Kissoon in 2010. You once was Freddie Kissoon in 2015. Why you not Freddie Kissoon in 2023? Well, I am the same Freddie Kissoon, but my politics is determined by dialectics. I don't see the excesses in me. You know why you want me to see the excesses? Because you are anti-government. And
I am. No, I don't want you to be anti-government. I don't want you to be. I want you to deal with the facts of what's happening in the country.
No. You just said you're anti-government.
I am anti-government.
And something is wrong with me being supportive of the government. Tell me now.
No, but come out and tell people. Tell people.
People are listening to your program. You see what you were doing? And that is why I would not allow you or anybody else to dictate my life. You could say on this program,
I would not dictate your life.
No, you can't, and I will not allow anyone.
Good.
You are telling me you anti-government, but Freddie, you're pro-government. Now, here what I'm going to ask you.
But come out and tell people you're pro-government. Tell people.
Is this program and you in the UK being funded by opposition by Mr. Lall?
What kind of nonsense you're talking? You're just talking nonsense now.
You just asked me that people are being paid. So I'm asking you now.
I am saying to you,
being funded?
But you are.
Is Lall providing you for this platform?
How could Lall provide me?
If I'm being funded, you told me I'm in the pay.
Lall is your friend. Lall is your friend. Lall told me help you build your house. He told me that yesterday. How you gonna ask me that nonsense? Lall told me he helped you to build your house when I was interviewing him. So why you coming asking me about Lall now? That was your friend for 28 years. And you never spoke out against him because he helped you to build a house, so you couldn't speak out against the excesses you're talking about now. So why are you coming at me? Why are you coming at me?
I'm coming to you.
Lall is not my friend.
I'm coming to you because you were stooge of Lall.
But Lall is not my friend.
I know Lall is financing your program. I know
Freddie, let me go back to sense. I interviewed Lall yesterday. I interviewed Lall and I interviewed Adam Harris. I interviewed both of them.
Who built your house? Who got
you? Man. Hold on, man. You are cuss up. Let me go back to the program, man.
Lall said when you became famous, Lall said you facilitated your entry to the UK. Everybody know you in the pay of the
Freddie, you're lowering yourself now. Listen to me. You're lowering yourself now.
When you're talking nonsense about Lall building my house, you lowering.
I never said that. I said Lall said that. Lall said that.
Hear what I could tell you. You are not going to bully me, and every.
But you trying for bully me. You're trying for bully me, and you're getting irate. You're getting irate, and you can't bully me. You can't bully me, but you can't bully me.
You're full of yourself.
Freddie, you got problem with everybody. I try to be your friend. I try to bring the facts out. You're attacking me. You're always on edge.
You try to be my friend and telling me Glen Lall built my house.
Well, why you
telling me what Glen Lall did for you? What did Glen Lall do for you?
Anyway, are we going to get back to the program?
Everybody knows Glen Lall.
Hold on, man. Are we going to get back to the program, or are we going to close now? What do you want to do?
We're not going to get back.
So you want to close? You want to close?
Get back to the program because, in all fairness,
But
If you
Freddie,
if
you
you
gotta
if you
take
don't have look,
as
you
much
know how
as you
much time I've
give.
given
You
you.
have to
You
take
know how
as
much time
much
I've
as you
given you.
give. You
You know how
have
much
to
time I've
take
given
as
you.
much as you give. You
What?
can't attack
Listen.
your friend them or
What
people
you mean?
and
What?
expect
So
people not
you.
to respond.
So wait. If I recall, I was begging you for let me respond. Listen to me.
Oh
Listen to
man.
me. If you think you're gonna come on this program or get me on this program to
You
tell
get
me what Glen Lall said about me,
but you tell me
I
Glen
came
Lall
on this
pay, but
program.
you come and tell me Glen
I
Lall
could
pay
tell
me.
I could tell
So
you I
I
could
gotta
tell you
say
the
to you
business
that.
I could tell you the businessman from Linden who financing you. I could tell you about Glen Lall's relationship with you. So when you come in this program
Freddie,
and
you
you
know what
come
they
and tell
said
me about
about you? They
Sergeant,
said that you are a liar. And I believe it now because you know why? You come here talking
well
nonsense.
here, well here,
You come here talking nonsense.
well
So
here,
here what
well
we gonna
here,
do?
here.
Let me wrap
At the
up the
end of the day,
show. Let me wrap up the show.
when
Do
you
you
have
want
when
give your
when you
do you
have
want to give your closing? You want to give your closing remarks about what
no, my
they're
closing.
saying about the
Here was my
government?
closing. Here was my closing remark. My closing remarks is
That was Freddie Kissoon there, here on Voice of the Diaspora, of course. Viewers, you know I would have given him an opportunity to talk for a very long time. People were complaining that why am I allowing him to speak uninterrupted for so long? In this struggle, sometimes you even have to ask your friends them the hard questions. And if the response to those hard questions is to take it personally, you understand, and become offensive, then you know, that's what it is. That is what it is. I am trying to make some clarifications with Freddie about what he said about when he was working with Kaieteur for all those years and didn't say anything about the wrong things that Glen Lall was doing. And, you know, and he admitted to that. Now that Glen Lall has said to him that he's in the employs of the PPP, he is saying all of these things now. So I'm saying we have a right to say that, but let's have some clarification. This is who you are, you know, and it brings me to the point that where we descended, and I will take some of the blame too, where we descended, but where Freddie descended to, you know, to say things like what he was saying, tells me that, you know, maybe people were saying the truth about him all along. You understand? Maybe people were saying the truth about him all along, and he will destroy himself if he continues along that vein. I want to close this program and to thank you very much for joining this program. Of course, I may fall in line now to be one who, you know, will be attacked by Freddie's pen like everyone else. But, you know, I don't mind. You know, I was kind enough to invite him on this program and to give him the latitude to say what he had to say. But Freddie seems not to realize that he can be asked hard questions and he can be analyzed too. You understand? It is one rule for some and another rule for him. He can be analyzed too. He can be put on the spot too without becoming offensive and without becoming, you know, and so it's quite upsetting. But this is the struggle. This is the program. It was good to have Freddie on, nevertheless. I hope we continue to be friends, and that he does not allow emotions to continue to cloud his judgment. Thank you very much for joining the program. Of course, when Freddie calms down, I'd have no problem in having him back, and we could deal with the issues, you know, in a much more mature way. But this is what this program is about. Whether it's my friend or not, I will listen to you, and I will try to analyze what you're saying, and I will ask you questions based on what you're saying. And that's basically what I have done. You know, there's so many people who are saying, Freddie, you are not being yourself. You're not being that objective person. You're not being the person that calls a spade a spade. Nobody wants you to attack a government. People want you to attack the wrongs in society because that's what you know you're known for. And if the wrongs are coming from the government, then, you know, close your eyes to the government, attack the wrongs there. And by extension, it would be the government that is being held accountable, is being exposed, and so on. I don't think that that is too difficult to understand. You know, it's so sad, but it is whatever it is. You know, thank you for being here on the program, and do have a good evening.